Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Clean Rising League Recap Show. I'm your host, Andrew Gorman from the Pickleball Diaries Podcast. And today we're recapping Stop 4 that was at CourtX in Oakville on June 21st. So let's jump right into the recap here. We're going to go game by game with the results. So starting right off the bat, we had the two top-rated teams, Booyah versus Reese's Pickleball Pieces. Booyah takes that 3-1, winning the men's, women's, and mixed one, with Reese's Pickleball Pieces winning the mixed two. Next on, we move on to the Rally Force versus Guelph Shrimps. Guelph Shrimps takes that in a 4-game sweep. Then we have Game of Paddles versus Dink Dynasty. Game of Paddles wins that in point differential, with Dink Dynasty getting the men's win. Game of Paddles getting the women's. Then Dink Dynasty again takes the mixed one, but then Game of Paddles takes game 2, and it was the women's game that had the best point differential with that 15-9 win, which gave Game of Paddles the point differential win there. Next up, we had Apex Paddlers versus Body Baggers. This one also went to a point differential. Body Baggers win both the men's and women's doubles at a score of 15-11, and then Apex Paddlers come back and win the mixed doubles both at 15-14, but because of those 15-11 wins, Body Baggers gets the point differential win. Next up, we had Northern Dinks versus Double Trouble. Double Trouble takes that 3-1, with the Northern Dinks just taking the men's, where Double Trouble took the women's and both mixed matches. Then we had Reese's Pickleball Pieces against Apex Paddlers. This one, once again, went by point differential, with the two deciding games for Reese's Pickleball Pieces was the men's doubles and the mixed 2 games, with scores of 15-6 and 15-8. Then we have Rally Force versus Body Baggers. Rally Force taking that 3-1, with Body Baggers just winning the mixed 2. Then we had Northern Dinks versus Apex Paddlers. Northern Dinks take that 3-1. Apex Paddlers got their sole game win on their mixed one. Reese's Pickleball Pieces then does a 4-game sweep of Guelph Shrimp. Booyah then versus Dink Dynasty. Booyah takes that 3-1. Dink Dynasty getting the 1 win in the mixed 1 matchup. Then Double Trouble's back at it versus Game of Paddles. Double Trouble takes that in a 4-game sweep. Rally Force versus Apex Paddlers. Rally Force wins 3-1, with Apex Paddlers just winning the women's doubles. Reese's Pickleball Pieces then versus Body Baggers. This one was also a 2-2 draw, which came down to point differential in favor of Reese's Pickleball Pieces, with them winning both of their matches with scores of 15-11, getting the better point differential in that match. Then Booyah versus Double Trouble. Double Trouble actually comes out on top on this one, winning 3-1 over Booyah. 2 of the games, both the men's and women's, were 15-14 games, and then mixed 1 Double Trouble took that one 15-11, with Booyah only getting the 1 in mixed 2 with the 15-12 win. Guelph Shrimps then versus Dink Dynasty. This one also was decided by point differential, with very, very tight games. 15-10 in the men's, 15-14 in the women's, 15-12 in mixed 1, and then 15-12 again in the mixed 2. So that 15-10 for Guelph Shrimp in the men's was the deciding factor there for the point differential. Northern Dinks versus Game of Paddles. This one also went to point differential, with Game of Paddles getting the big point differential win with the 15-7 win in the mixed 2 game. Double Trouble versus Guelph Shrimp, again going to point differential wins, with each team winning 2 games apiece. The big deciding one in that one was the 15-8 win for Double Trouble in the mixed 2, with the 15-8. Then we had Body Baggers versus Dink Dynasty. Body Baggers take that in a 4-game sweep. Booyah versus Game of Paddles. This one also went to point differential, with Game of Paddles with the 2 wins that they had being a 15-5 in both men's doubles and mixed 2, giving them the big point differential there for the 2-2 draw. Northern Dinks versus Rally Force, another 2-2 draw, which went to point differential. The big deciding one in this one was the mixed 2, with Northern Dinks winning 15-6. Dink Dynasty versus Apex Paddlers, 3-1 for Dink Dynasty, with Apex just winning mixed 2. Body Baggers versus Double Trouble. Double Trouble winning that one 3-1. Body Baggers just getting the sole win in the mixed 2 game. Guelph Shrimp versus Game of Paddles. Guelph Shrimp take that 3-1. Game of Paddles get their 1 win in their women's doubles match. Reese's Pickleball Pieces versus Rally Force. This one also went to point differential. The big deciding games for Reese's Pickleball Pieces being their men's doubles and their mixed 2, both games being 15-6. Northern Dinks versus Booyah. Booyah takes that in a 4-game sweep. Double Trouble versus Apex Paddlers, another 4-game sweep there, but all the games were super close. 15-13 in the men's, 15-14 in the women's, 15-14 in mix 1, and 15-14 in mix 2. So very, very close match, even though it was a 4-game sweep there. Body Baggers versus Game of Paddles. Body Baggers takes that 3-1, with Game of Paddles just winning the men's. Then you had Dink Dynasty versus Rally Force. Rally Force winning 3-1. Dink Dynasty just getting the sole win in the women's game. Guelph Shrimp versus Booyah. Booyah gets the 3-1 win, with Guelph Shrimp also just winning their mixed 1. Reese's Pickleball Pieces versus Northern Dinks for the final game. This also went to point differential, with Reese's Pickleball Pieces getting the major point differential swing in their men's game, winning 15-8. So at the end of all the games at Stop 4, the standings currently are Booyah in first place, 17-7. Reese's Pickleball Pieces tied with them actually at 17-7 as well. Double Trouble 16-8. Body Baggers 15-9. Rally Force also 15-9. Then both Guelph Shrimp and Game of Paddles at 9-15. Apex Paddlers at 8-16, the Northern Dinks at 9-15, Dink Dynasty finishing off the bottom at 5-19. So, as you saw there from all the games, a lot closer matchups there. It wasn't real, even though 2 teams went 5-1 with Booyah and Reese's Pickleball Pieces. A lot of games that are decided by point differential. So a lot of the teams now finding out their lineups, getting used to the speed and quickness of rally scoring in these games. And you're seeing games now like 50, like we saw a couple matches there, 15-14, 15-14, even if it was a 4-game sweep. So we go over to our insights. And right now, impact players. So Jill is the top right now for Double Trouble, 120% impact, 34-12, 74% win percentage, 18-15 wins. Nicholas Stryker is number 2 for Booyah, 100% impact, 33-3, 92% win rate, 17 out of 17 wins. November also for Booyah, 100% impact, 27-9, 75% win rate. Jacob also from Booyah, 25-11, 69% win rate. Denver for Reese's Pickleball Pieces, 32-16, 67% win rate. And then Peter Hall also for Reese's Pickleball Pieces, 31-17 with a 65% win rate. If we come to our lineup strategy and we pop up the 2 top teams, so Booyah and Reese's Pickleball Pieces, you can see here Booyah really relying on their men's doubles as their big-time winner, and then Reese's Pickleball Pieces relying on their mix 2. So if we go here to Booyah, men's doubles 75% win rate, Reese's Pickleball Pieces 58%, but then you come over to mix 2, Booyah at 67%, but Reese's Pickleball Pieces at 92%. Mixed 1 for both teams, Booyah at 33%, Reese's Pickleball Pieces at 54%. And then women's doubles are identical at 54% win rate each. So the 2 teams battling for first there, one clearly has a very strong men's team, while the other team has a very, very strong mixed team. At least one of the mixed teams is. So the way these stops are going, you're going to see these 2 teams battling it for that top spot as they are tied right now. If we drop down, if we throw in Dink Dynasty on there, which is the last place team, you can see here on the graph, a little bit less on the win rate there. So women's doubles 30%, mixed 1 30%, 26% on mixed 2, and men's 26%. Same thing if we throw in Rally Force Actually, we'll throw in everybody there, and you can see the overlap. This is one thing like I said, I love about this the clingcup.com website. You just have all the teams overlaying here, and you can see the graph which teams are accelerating in these different spots here. Like Rally Force there at 79% on their mixed one rating, and the leader here, Rally Force, also at 54% in their women's doubles, tied with Booyah and Pickleball Pieces. But then if you look at Body Baggers, they're at 70% in their win rate. We scroll down to clutch factor. Booyah 5-0 in deciding matches, 11-16 in close games, hence why they're at the top of the league there. Double Trouble 5-2 in deciding matches, 25-13 in close games. Reese's Pickleball Pieces 5-3 in deciding matches, but 20-12 in close games. So they're pulling out those close games. That's why you're seeing them win those point differential matches there. Rally Force 5-4 in deciding matches, 26-20 in close games. Game of Paddles 4-4 in deciding matches, 16-27 in close games. And Guelph Shrimp 2-2 in deciding matches, 19-19 in close games. So they're always in close games and just teetering on it at 50% there. Scroll down to top pairs. New leaders at the top pairs now. We have Bruna and Steffi, 6-0 record point differential of plus 34. Then we have Denver and Steffi, 6-0 as well, plus 29. Caitlin and Vicky, 5-0, plus 28. Emma and Roy, 4-0, plus 25. Shannon and Klaus, 4-0, plus 20. Then you go down to Denver and Bruna, 4-0, plus 19. And you keep going down from there. Momentum. Now, momentum, if we pop in Reese's Pickleball Pieces, and we'll pop in Booyah as well as the two top teams. You can see Booyah's stayed pretty steady over the entire season so far, with that one dip there where they had none of their starters in there, but then they've been holding steady right around the 65-70% mark. Reese's Pickleball Pieces, of course, had that slow start at the beginning of the season, but now have just maintained. They've by far been the most steady team this entire season so far. We toss in Rally Force there, same thing, a little bit of dip, and now you can see them right in line with Booyah and Reese's Pickleball Pieces, hovering right around that 60-70%. If we toss in Dink Dynasty and Double Trouble, same thing, you can see that moving up there. Dink Dynasty, you can see the slow dip there sitting around the 25%. If we throw everybody else in there, everyone's hovering right around like the 47-50%, but then you have the top teams in that 60% win rate there, or win percentage throughout the season. So it's the teams that are hanging steady, hanging on to those top spots. You can see some teams are starting to move up, getting that momentum up, but all the teams that are right around, the lowest being at Dink Dynasty at the 28% currently right now. And then as you move up the list there, you can see like Game of Paddles 37, Guelph Shrimp 38, Apex Paddlers 47, then Double Trouble 52, Northern Dinks 56, Rally Force 57, Booyah 57, Body Baggers 63, and then Reese's Pickleball Pieces at 65. Upsets. So here, Dink Dynasty beating Booyah. Of course, that's number 10 beating the number 1 seed. Apex Paddlers also defeating Booyah 4-0. That was in round 17. That's the number 9 beating the number 1 seed. Dink Dynasty beating Rally Force. Number 10 beating number 4. Apex Paddlers beating Double Trouble. That's the number 9 beating the number 3. And that's the one thing I love about this is all the insights on this just keep getting better and better as the season goes on. So the big thing with this one, obviously, was all the teams were here. Booyah had their starters back. This was kind of the first loss you saw Booyah get with their starters in the lineup. And then the other big story with this is Reese's Pickleball Pieces has just been steady all year. They've either been 4-2 or 5-1 at every single event. So they're the team to really watch. Double Trouble has made big leaps since they made their roster change after Stop 1. Body Baggers has been holding pretty steady. Same with Rally Force. So those top 5 teams there have consistently been at the top. and then just kind of beating each other has been the big thing here. Guelph Shrimp has been making a push. Same with Game of Paddles. Apex Paddlers, Northern Dinks, and Dink Dynasty have all been kind of dwelling at the bottom. Apex Paddlers losing 7 straight here now, which is unfortunate. Northern Dinks going 2-3 in their last little bit. Dink Dynasty going 1-4. But everyone else, Double Trouble went on a 6-game win streak there. Reese's Pickball Pieces had a good game streak going, but then lost their last game, and then Booyah, same thing, going 4-1 in their last 5 as well. So to recap, at the top of the standings, and if we'll jump to the thing I like about this is if we just go to stop 4, so you can see here, Double Trouble going 6-0, Booyah 5-1, Reese's Pickleball Pieces 5-1, Rally Force, Guelph Shrimp, and Body Baggers all going 3-3. Game of Paddles going 2-4, Northern Dinks going 2-4, Dink Dynasty 1-5, Apex Paddlers unfortunately 0-6. But then if you go to cumulative, get the whole season there. So you can see Booyah stays at the top. Reese's Pickball Pieces stay at the top. Double Trouble makes a big push for the top there and just 1 game back of them right now. Body Baggers Rally Force sitting at 50-9, only 2 games back. Guelph Shrimp, Game of Paddles, same thing. They were, like I said, both very similar records, 9-15. Apex Paddlers 8-16. They went 0-6 there, so they were 8-10 to start this event, and then obviously 8-16 with no wins. Northern Dinks and Dink Dynasty at 9-15 and 15-19 respectively. So up next we got Stop 5, which is going to be at the Jar in North York, Ontario, and that's going to be this coming weekend on July 4th. So we got another 30 matchups coming your guys' way. And then one more stop after that before we get to the playoffs. So you're going to see those bottom teams now really have to start making a push to get themselves into the playoffs. So unfortunately, we couldn't get any interviews from the previous weekend. But like I said, as you can see from the scores of this past weekend, and the last couple of stops now, the games are getting closer and closer. So come the final 2 stops here at the Jar and then at Rio Pickleball, we are going to see the games get really, really tight. And then I can't wait for playoffs to see how these teams match up. So stay tuned. Like I said, July 4th is the next stop. We'll have a recap after that. Hopefully we can get some interviews for you guys or some highlights. Tune in on the Kling Rising League on the YouTube channel. Also check them out on Instagram and check it out on klingcup.com for all these insights that we're looking at here. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.